Working through TV Eldoa here with Dylan. So first step of this whole process is just getting that left hip up on the wall, right hip, whatever's easiest for you. From here, Dylan's gonna go ahead and switch himself up and over, getting those legs up the wall into this position. So there's a couple things that you wanna think through as you're in this position. Those two sit bones at the back of those hips are on the ground. Thinking about those butt cheeks on the ground. Legs are all the way up the wall. You can have a little bit of a knee bend to those as you're working to hold. So you're just here to start and just working through a little bit of breathing. Strong inhale, strong exhale, working to breathe here. So we're just getting our legs up, sitting and hold, and working through this process here for a little bit. So we're gonna hold here, Dylan, for about 20 seconds, just working to breathe. Into that strong exhale. So again, a little bit of knee bend here. His heels are on the wall. He's just working to breathe. From here, we're gonna go ahead and really set the key piece of what we call axial extension. So he's trying to get long through the top of his head, so his head remains on the ground, but it's thinking about eyes looking between the knees. Eyes looking between the knees, that chin tucks. Imagine there's a string attached to the top of the head. He's getting nice and long through the top of his head as the eyes remain looking between the knees. He's just gonna work to hold this position and breathe. Then, take the right heel, let it slide up the wall as if that right leg only is straightening. That whole leg is gonna rotate in, and you're gonna think about pulling that toe right down towards the shin. You're gonna feel some tension potentially on the back side. That back hip still remains on the ground as the right heel continues to drive up the wall. Don't lose the position of the head, continuing to look between the knees, long through the top of the head. You're almost feeling like you're making a little bit of a double chin action as you work to get long. We're gonna relax the right leg. We're gonna do the same thing with the left leg. Left leg's gonna drive all the way up the wall. That leg rotates in, the toe pulls down towards the shin. We're working to breathe, hold, thinking about driving the heel up the wall, but that left hip bone, the back of that left hip bone stays on the ground as he works to create a little bit of tension through the back side of the leg. That head's in a good position, eyes are open and fixed between the knees as we're working to breathe. We're gonna relax that left leg. We're gonna go hands now straight overhead. So both legs are slightly bent, hands reach towards the ceiling. Gonna bend the fingertips towards you, driving up through the heels. You're gonna rotate, so the fingers begin to rotate towards the knees. Still driving up through the heels, the head remains in a good position. That chin is stuck, we're looking between those knees. We're gonna reach the hands all the way, just the right side overhead. Reaching, imagine if you're trying to reach towards a wall behind you as you begin to hold. We're gonna bring that right hand back, eyes still fixed between the knees, continuing to breathe, but you wanna make sure that that low back and those hip bones still remain on the ground. We're gonna take the left hand and reach the left hand all the way overhead. Reaching through that left hand, continuing to breathe. Eyes are fixed between the knees, we're long through the top of that head. Working our way back up with the left hand. Both hands now are reaching straight up towards the ceiling. We're gonna lower the right again this time. While we do this, still looking between those knees, reaching through that palm, we're gonna reach the left leg up the wall like we did to start. We're rotating that left leg in, pulling that toe to the shin. We're breathing in this position, so we have the right hand reaching towards that wall behind us. The left leg is trying to work its way up the wall. The position of our body doesn't change. Remain looking at the knees. Head's nice and long, we're breathing. We're gonna lower or bring back to the starting position that right arm. Relax that left leg. The left arm's now gonna move overhead, reaching that straight overhead, reaching through that palm. Head is nice and tall, eyes are fixed between the knees. The eyes are open, looking between. We're gonna drive the right leg up the wall, rotating the right leg in, pulling the toe towards the shin. We're continuing to breathe. Big in, Exhale. Think long as you breathe out. Relax that right leg, relax that left hand, keeping the arms straight up towards the ceiling, reaching them. We're now going to move to both the hands and legs. So we're going to reach both heels up the wall. You're going to rotate those feet in just a touch. They're not going to touch. They're going to stop just short of touching. You're going to pull the toes towards the shins. Back of the hip bones remain on the ground. You're continuing to breathe. Reaching both those hands straight overhead. Eyes are fixed between the knees, long through that head. You're continuing to think about reaching the heels up the wall. That low back remains on the ground. We're reaching through those palms. Chin is in that good tuck position. Eyes are fixed between the knees. You're pulling the toes towards the shin and driving up the wall with the heels. Remember, that low back and hip bones can't come off the ground as we continue to reach. And reach. Long through the top, continuing to reach. Continuing to reach through those hands. Eyes are fixed between those knees. Pulling the toes towards the shins. Those legs remain rotated in. That low back remains on the ground, but we're breathing. Big breath in, breathe out. Continue to reach as you breathe out. Those shoulders are moving up towards the ears. We're breathing in, we're breathing out. We're continuing to pull the toes towards the shins. We're driving those heels up the wall. That chin is tucked and eyes are fixed between the knees. We're reaching through those palms, reaching through those palms. We're slowly lowering both hands. We're slowly grabbing or lowering or sliding those knees down the wall. We're grabbing both knees, pulling them toward the chest, and just breathe here for a bit. And when you're ready, you can begin to slowly roll over to the side, and you've just finished TV Eldoa.